Hello, my name is Naya, and I am doing a medium armor Stamplar build, and the best part about this build is that this build also works in a heavy armor variant as well. The only difference that you'll notice is that you'll have to do a couple more heavy attacks. With the current build I have, you don't really have to do that many heavy attacks if you are in medium, but in heavy, you'll definitely have to do more heavy attacks. Let's get to it. So here's the overview. Take a picture, screenshot, whatever if you want. Take a good look at it. I'll leave it up on the screen as I talk. So, it is a two-handed dual-wield build, as are a lot of good stamina builds. Every now and then you'll find a few others, but the meta is primarily dual-wield, two-handed, and then in dueling, depending on the class, you'll find two-handed and shield because of reverb. So, yeah. Now, we're looking at our max stats. My max magicka is a little bit lower than I want it to be. My max health is pretty good, and my max stam is 33k, which is typically where I want it to be. My resistances are a tad lower than I typically want them. That's partially because I don't have that much protective jewelry. I only have one protective piece right now. But because I typically use this build with heavy, that's fine. But running in medium, as long as I have enough crit resistance, I don't notice a huge difference unless I'm taking a shit ton of heavy damage from like a stam DK. So let's have a look-see at these sets. I'm wearing Bloodspawn. Why would you not wear Bloodspawn? Let's just leave it at that. The extra sustain that you get, as well as the resistances in the ultimate, are a great, beautiful thing. However, I know a lot of people will say, if you're not very good at Stamplar, then try using Troll King. It's a lot more helpful, and you know it gets you through things, and I do agree. If I'm not very good, the thing is that I try to not need that. I felt like I haven't needed it for a while now. I'm still not very good though. I'm much better at my mag blade, but Troll King is by all means a carry set. I consider it to be training wheels. If you're trying out a build or you're trying out a new class in stamina, I guess you could use it for magicka too. I have been using it on my mag blade because it has no healing. Troll King is a great tool, but in no way do I feel Troll King should be a main component of your build unless you're doing something very stupid and specific like I am with mag blade. I have Hunding's Rage. I know a lot of people say Spriggans. I like Hunding's for the crit, primarily because it helps our heals crit, but it's also helping our damage crit at the same time. Again, a very good thing. It's all medium, all impen, although I did this one piece is Divines here, and that's just because I grabbed the wrong glove to film with. I have tri-stat enchantments on my legs and my chest. You can also do different mix matches of that if you want. Now for my jewelry and my weapons, I'm using Battlefield Acrobat. So Battlefield Acrobat was a new set that was released, which is kind of like Stamina Alteration Mastery with some different 2 through 4 piece bonuses. It's the 6% global cost reduction of everything you do, which is why I really like it, especially in heavy armor, is because it's giving you that cost reduction that you don't have. So my dagger is nerd honed and my axe is sharpened. I have one weapon damage enchantment and another absorb stamina that helps with my sustain, and on the back bar I have an axe. You could also use a sword, but I don't really do any damage back there, so I feel like the chance of applying a bleed on a few light attacks is helpful. And it's got a weapon damage enchantment just cause. You could put a poison back there. In fact, I would actually suggest that if you were trying to min-max the shit out of it, I'd do that. And then going up to look at our jewelry, we've got all weapon damage enchantments with one protective, though I would suggest more than as I stated earlier. So yeah, that's the beauty of it. It's a great setup. It's worked very well thus far. And moving on to the rest, we got the warrior and dubious Camoran throne as our food. You can use blue food, or you can use blue food and then just put a few regen enchantments on here. But I don't feel like that's necessary for stamina as much as I do feel like that would be cool for magicka, since max magicka is better than max stamina because you can have lower max stam on a stam build and do just as well. Our recovery stats are kind of meh, to be perfectly honest. They're not great, but they get the job done. And if we look on our weapon crit on our front bar with our dual wield, we are looking at 40% crit without jabs up. With jabs, you get to 50. So another thing to take note is jabs gives you weapon crit. It gives you major savagery, which is really, really nice. That lets us use tripods, which helps with our magicka sustain, which helps us purge more. So yeah, that's something that I did differently on my Stamblade. Back when I played Stamblade more, I used not tripods, I used weapon crit pots, and that was great because I didn't have any source of major savagery, but we have it literally built into our fucking spammable, so might as well, right? Now we will take a look at these skills. So for potions, yeah, I'm using tripods. I got that out of the way, and that enables us to use extended ritual more. Now, Stamplar got a very specific buff that's actually pretty helpful. Ritual now heals us for like it scales with our max stam and spell damage. That's really nice. It's not a huge thing, but it's definitely noticeable. I noticed it quite a bit. Rally, this is our good old burst heal and weapon damage buff. So if we hit rally, our weapon damage will be at 4k. What do you know? And then we got Shuffle, you know, bread and butter of medium armor builds. In heavy, I tend to use Race Against Time, and I have really enjoyed that. If I was not going to use Rally, like if I wanted to use Forward Momentum, I'd probably use like a Sword and Board, but I'm very much so in love with Rally because it's the best healing skill in the game that is available to all classes right now. Blessing of Protection's kind of shit. It misses a lot, and it doesn't have a heal over time component. It's just a really nice skill. Vigor is great and all, but it's just not. It's not as good as like Stand DK just turtling up with block, hitting Igneous, and then Vigor. You can't do that. You could hit block and then you have minor mending, but again, it's not that great. This is our stun, javelin, range stun, pretty nice. Damage is okay. So extended ritual, you're going to want to keep this up as often as you can, but you're also going to want to hit it if you feel like you have too many debuffs on you. I suggest getting a debuff tracker if you don't already have one. And then this is our sustain skill. I'm actually really shit at using this because I'm used to like, I played Templar a lot back when this skill made you stand in it. So I'm really bad at casting it because if I'm on the move, I don't think about casting it. But you can cast this just like you would siphoning attacks, and this gives you your resistance buff, so you probably want to be casting it more. Also, while you stand inside it, the resistances you get are even more, which means you can have 20k resistances on a Stamplar with medium armor. That's really nice, as long as you stand within it. The second you move out of it, you're down a bit. You know, it's not too drastic, but it's definitely noticeable. So, moving on, we will have a look at our front bar skills. Oh, well, I guess I should mention I have Remembrance back here. This is just a nice oh shit ultimate. I typically use this to, I don't know, sometimes when I use this, people dogpile on me even more, and it's kind of funny. And sometimes they actually do kill me, and sometimes they don't. And then sometimes when I do this, they all just leave me the fuck alone. So it's almost like if you've played Star Wars: The Old Republic or WoW, there are some abilities that just drop aggro. So like if a boss hits you because you're doing too much DPS, you can drop aggro. It feels like that sometimes. Now on our front bar, this is our offensive bar. We've got jabs, good old jabs. That's all you do, jab, 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 jab. I guess you could say it's a pretty cheap jab. Now, Power of the Light, this is our burst. It's also a pretty nice debuff. This actually snags a lot of kills, which I find really funny. It's like a pseudo Sork execute. Most people don't see it coming, and then just boom, dick slam. Yeah. So there's that, and it gives you a nice resistance reduction. It's not huge. It's just like 1k, but that's still really nice. Then we have Rending Slashes, because bleeds, and more bleeds. That's basically ESO PvP today. So why not use a fucking bleed? That's also a snare. Not as important. But because we have a snare attached to our spammable. God, really? We have a snare attached to our spammable? Jesus Christ, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, so this lasts for 10 seconds. It's a really nice damage over time ability. It's not super special, like crippling grasp does more damage than this, but this cuts through all your resistances. So, yeah. Moving on to Deadly Cloak. This is an AoE ability that does a very, very minute amount of damage, though is helpful for bringing people out of cloak, just like how Jabs is. But it gives you major evasion. I typically use this with heavy armor. I would actually have this as Quick Cloak instead of Deadly Cloak, but because of my heavy armor build, I use Deadly Cloak. So you're going to want this to be Quick Cloak, or you can change that out entirely. This can be your flex spot. That is also a completely viable option. I've known people in duels to use Caltrops or the Fighters Guild skill Trap Beast. I've seen that be fairly beneficial. I've also seen some Stamplars use Bubble, oddly enough. And by Bubble, I mean, you know, the Eclipse skill. It's kind of funny. But it does work in most cases if you're fighting a ranged opponent. Other than that, that's really all I would use, given like everything here. Hidden Blades, not really worth it. Whirlwind, you already have a great spammable AoE ability that's also your single target ability baked into one. Yeah, it's really nice. So another thing to take note about is that these two will do more damage as your enemy gets to a lower health. So even at low health, make sure you have Power of the Light on your opponent, especially because they will not see that coming. It will hit them when they're at low health and they'll be like, oh shit, where'd all my health go? So yeah, those are our bars. We also want to consider Dawnbreaker Smiting. That increases our weapon damage on our front bar. It's also a stun, a damage overtime, and an AoE. Whoa, isn't that a little bit overloaded? Yeah, probably, but no one's going to do anything about it. So yeah, that's basically it. You want to make sure you have Vigor too, because that's your bread and butter healing ability for all stamina builds. Let's look at CP. So for CP, I have 21 in Sprinter, 53 in Warlord. I've got 45 in Tenacity, 75 in Mooncalf, because I really like this wind running passive. 63 into Tumbling, and that's because of my heavy armor build. You can go down to 53, but I actually kind of like this, to be honest. I just don't dodge as much as I probably should. I block more than I should, so I should probably switch that. But I really like this. And then I put 13 into Shadow Ward. So moving on over here, I got 10 into Bless, just for that very tiny, minute amount of healing increase, which is really nice. I don't actually do CP PvP that often, so I don't really worry about CP quite as much. But I have done it with this character, and it does work. Then I put 9 into Physical Weapon Expert, 66 into Master at Arms. We go 56 into Thaumaturge, and before you say, wait, what the fuck, why are you putting so much into dot damage, let me all remind you, for those who don't already know, that your Jabs ability is a damage over time ability. It is not a burst damage ability. So yeah, you could probably actually take some out of Master at Arms, but we're not going to do that. To be perfectly honest, I feel like Stamina already has enough champion points. I put 43 into Mighty, 20 into Piercing, 66 into Precise Strikes, you know, everyone likes that crit. And yeah, honestly, what I said about Jabs being damage over time is true. There are also plenty of other damage over time abilities in your kit, such as the Dawnbreaker dot. So damage over time is an important part of your kit, but you definitely don't want to skimp out on Master at Arms, because that's where your kills are typically going to come from. You're not going to kill someone by jabbing them to death, and if you do, they're a potato. just bluntly put, or they have absolutely no resources. However, what is going to kill someone is burst. So if you're doing jabs and Power of the Light and maybe bleeds, that's going to kill someone. That's a lot of pressure. So that's what I have for my blue CP. Now going on to the red CP, we got 50 in resistance, 66 in ironclad, 38 in thick skinned. I would actually probably do 56, and then I put one over here, but that's what I typically do. And then I would go 10 into quick recovery. Actually, let's just fix this really quickly. One there, and one there. Now we've hit the jump point, so 11 into quick recovery. We go 56 into thick skinned and 51 into resistant. That is my CP. Thank you all for your time. I hope you've enjoyed it. If this works for you, please let me know, because I'm not sure. I really like it and it's been working so far. But I am not an expert Stamplar. That title is specifically reserved for Magblade in all cases and purposes. I am significantly better at my Magblade than I am this character. So please let me know if this has worked for you guys. Have fun. Take care. Also, don't play Bossmer with this build. That is really important. Absolutely. Please do not play Bossmer. You can play basically any other class. I'm actually an Imperial right now. The cost reduction I find is really nice. The max health is also really nice. But the cost reduction in heavy armor is really cool. But like you could, I feel like you could play a Breton and it would be better than playing a Bossmer, which is not true, but that's just a gross exaggeration. The thing is that you already have a surplus of sustain with the Battlefield Acrobat set. In CP or in no CP, you might feel like it's a bit worse. Add a regen glyph. Trust me. Do not play a Bossmer. I know they're horrible. You could actually do Khajiit too. The crit on Khajiit is really nice, and the tri-stat bonuses it has are really good. Orc and Nord are probably my top suggestions for this build. Orc and Nord, and then third would be Imperial. Yeah. That's it. Have a good day, everyone.